So we're very happy about the opportunity we have to have public comment, and just reminding anyone in the public, they are welcome to send in written comments to the board as well at board@schools.utah.gov. Okay, this is the first two. We have Susie Estrada and Deanna Holland. Susie, are you there?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Thank you.
Good morning, board. I'm Susie Estrada, and I'm here speaking as an out-of-school time professional. If you're not in the field, out-of-school time programs are after school, before school, and summer programs. This includes overnight camps. It's the programs that help meet the needs of working parents by providing a safe, supervised space, meals, and tutoring for children of working parents. These services are often at free or low cost for parents. OST professionals are unsung heroes. During COVID, they showed up to do the work while schools were still shut down. While teachers have been recognized even through stipend pay for their additional duties, OSTs pre and post-COVID have filled multiple duties beyond their roles. They continue to be unrecognized for the essential branch of education that they are. I'm speaking today because I was concerned at the last board meeting, seeing how quickly funding can be jeopardized after a misunderstanding. Excuse me. OST programs do not work under UAN. Each program makes their own programmatic decisions, including what trainings will best meet the needs of those they serve. UAN is a support to OST programs in that they provide a free resources through professional development, networking, and mentorship that move programs towards research-based national quality standards. I am asking that USB please do more to build their knowledge on the OST field and the work they do to further solidify it as an essential profession, one whose practices prove to lower youth involvement in high-risk activities and promote what this board continues to portray as priority at the root of all it says and does, and that is safety for all young people in Utah. Please, I am asking that for all items that come across your meeting agendas, that you continue to use the lens of safety and that you consult with the professionals and the experts, not the edited and chopped blogs, before making decisions that can have lasting impacts. Let's start having collaborative conversations, and that is how we will be able to truly move Utah values forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Susie. Appreciate that. Okay, Deanna Holland and then Cody Aoki. Deanna?
Thank you. My name is Deanna Holland, and I'm a parent of school-age children in northern Utah County. I know that the title of parent doesn't carry much weight with the board sometimes. Apparently, you listen to members of the Teachers Union, the ACLU, or the Library Association. You listen to the ACLU because you're afraid they're going to sue you. This is why it's important that you adopt Draft 2 of the Model Library Policy as a board rule. Because of HB 374, LEAs are not only open to lawsuits from ACLU, but also from little old parents like me, who take the wild position that our children reading about explicit sex is not what schools are made to facilitate. In Draft 2, there's an appeal process to the state school board for book challenges that don't result in an outcome that's satisfactory with the involved parties. This means that any legal challenges would be brought to the state board itself, where the attorney defending the decision would be from the Attorney General's office, and not placed at the feet of staff attorneys working for the LEAs. This makes sense given that HB 374 is a state law, and the body constitutionally responsible for defending our state laws is the Attorney General's office. Another reason Draft 2 is needed, the LEAs need more detailed instructions on how to comply with HB 374. After you passed Rule 628 in February, LEAs simply did not get the message and have continued to defend porn in our schools. Davis School District recently decided to retain the book Red Hood after a challenge review. Imagine, if you will, your child reading from Red Hood. Quote, "He's still lying on his back on the bed and you kneel before him, letting your hair hide your face as you reach between your bodies. Find his penis and guide it towards the entrance of your vagina. It feels thick there, sort of scary, and there's a moment when you wonder how on earth it will fit inside. But James doesn't rush you and you lower yourself onto him. His hand's gentle on your hips, not trying to tell you what to do. And it's not long before his face tightens. He makes a low groan and he shivers beneath you. The rest of your clothes come off, and James's. You are together in your bed and he is naked before you in a way you've never seen in this clearly. His dark, flat chest, the tight black curls of his pubic hair surrounding his erection. It's wet-tipped and urgent, and you stroke it with your fingers. James makes a sound, a moan, and he falls back against your pillows, giving his body up to you to explore. Anyone who thinks this book is acceptable for children under 18 to read is a sick pervert who should be nowhere near our children. Thank you.
Thank you, Deanna. I actually read the wrong name. It's Heidi Matthews and then Brianna Hughes.
Thank you. I was not quite ready.
Oh, I'm sorry, Heidi. I threw
No, it's all good. Just maybe start my time like right now, because that. So this is my last public comment as the president of the Utah Education Association, and I just really want to thank you. I want to thank you for the role that you fill in a world that is under so much attack, and we all play that role. And I remember 6 years ago, six years ago, it was my 6th day on the job, and I was testifying in front of many of you about licensing, and I had just recently had a facial, and the person giving me the facial had to have, it was something like 500 hours before she needed of supervision before she was able to practice on my face. And we brought that as the Utah Education Association, not to be difficult, but to bring the voices of our members who want and know how policies will play out, that we want our educators to be not learning on the job, but fully prepared to reach, teach, and inspire from day one. So I ask that you continue to listen as you have, and respect the role that our professional association has in bringing the voices of our members who are all so committed to the promise of public education. And listening to us when we talk about the impact of the spread of misinformation and disinformation and degradation about our profession, and what that says to our educators. And listen to the UEA speakers, not as whatever we're going to be lumped in with, but as the voices of those who are in the classrooms, doing the work, fulfilling the promise of public education. I feel so much gratitude for you. It has been an honor, an enormous responsibility that I know that you feel each and every day. And I just am grateful for the work that you have done. Thank you.
Thank you, Heidi. Thank you for your service to the union. Also, we have Brianna Hughes, and then we have Jen Brown. Brianna? Okay, we'll go on and maybe she'll come back on. Jen Brown, and then it's Erin Bolen. I know that Jen's in here.
I did see her.
Maybe she's off. We'll come back to her. Okay, Erin Bolen and then Lisa Bruns. Erin?
Hi, my name is Erin Bolen. I'm in Alpine School District. It has been 140 days since the USBE decided to address the issue of inappropriate books in libraries. They did so by reading a statement from the Educators Association, the Library Association, defending the presence of obscene and pornographic books in our schools. It has been 119 days since the board passed Rule 628 that simply tells LEAs to form their own library policy, with suggestions given by the USBE. It has been 90 days since HB 374 was passed by both legislative chambers. It has been 70 days since HB 374 was signed by the governor. It has been 29 days since HB 374 was written into state code. It has been 15 days since Speaker of the House Brad Wilson chided the state board for failing to pass a rule that explicitly follows HB 374 and enforces it. It has been 14 days since the USBE had the audacity to respond to Speaker Wilson, claiming that they were already enforcing HB 374. The ego of the USBE needed to assume ignorance on the part of the House Speaker to claim that Rule 628 was already being used to enforce HB 374 would be laughable if it wasn't such an absolute falsehood. A week prior to that statement, on May 12th, Davis School District chose to retain the book Red Hood in its library after a challenge. This book is more pornographic than anything you will find in a pornographic magazine like Playboy, compete with full pages explicitly describing masturbation and the thickness, texture, and pleasurability of male genitalia during intercourse. This week, the USBE has now reversed course. They no longer claim to already be enforcing HB 374, but they think the library model policy and rule will take so long to bring into compliance with HB 374 that they need a special meeting on June 30th to discuss. You can't have it both ways. But I understand it must be difficult to admit openly that you have taken half a year to decide if porn should be present in our schools because you have been attempting to placate the union in the Library Association. How about you stop playing footsie with special interests and protect our children? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bolen. I'm going to go back, Lisa, instead of going to you, I'm going to go back to Jen Brown. She's raised her hand, and then we'll go to Lisa Bruns. Jen? Jen, if you're talking, we can't hear you. You're on mute. Okay, while she works on that, we'll go to Lisa Bruns, and then after that will be Gail Rosica. Lisa? Okay, let's go to Gail, and then it's Greg Dearden.
Oh, I didn't realize I had to unmute myself. I'm sorry. This is Lisa Bruns.
Okay, then go ahead, Lisa.
Hi, board. My name is Lisa Bruns. I'm considered a national expert on the sinister agenda behind social emotional learning, and I'm here to talk to you today about the resolution on the agenda supporting Utah's Portrait of a Graduate, which claims that in order for students to succeed in the future, they need to develop skills aligned with those laid out in that document. The majority of these skills have nothing to do with the mastery of academic core subjects and are mostly soft or social emotional skills, which are very subjective and hard to measure. It's probably why in the beginning paragraph of the original document it states, and I quote, that these are aspirations not necessarily meant to be quantified and measured, end quote. You ignored that part of the document and brought in the company knowledge works to build out 13 competencies for students to achieve related to the 13 areas of Portrait of a Graduate so they can be quantified and measured from preschool to age 20. While Portrait of a Graduate is claimed to be a completely homegrown effort, this is patently false. I know from talking to other parents that there are many similar versions of Portrait of a Graduate in states across the nation, all initiated by the Gates-funded Battelle for Kids and their partners. It is part of a national, in fact, global effort to redesign the entire education system away from prioritizing academic knowledge and skills as the most important thing to graduate with and shift the emphasis towards social and emotional skills. Your strategic plan states Portrait of a Graduate serves as our compass for system transformation. I know what that means, and I'm sure if other parents truly did, they would be speaking up too. It means that Utah is changing our whole accountability system away from merit-based grading and into personalized competency-based learning. KnowledgeWorks is happy to help you with that as well, since they say on their website that tracking through grading is racist and a tool of the colonizer. They view personalized competency-based learning as the stepping stone to liberatory education, where critical theory will be infused into every academic subject. Portrait of a Graduate will launch us into more digital learning, more digital assessments, and less transparency for parents. It will mean less local control and more power handed over to big ed tech and big data. If you vote in support of this resolution, you vote in support of all of this. Protect our children. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. I see others on here, but we're going to keep going in order and we'll come back. Gail Rosica and then Greg Dearden.
Good morning. My name is Gail Rosica and I'm with Utah Eagle Forum. According to the Utah Code under Civics and Character Education, it says that the Utah legislature recognizes through an integrated curriculum, students shall be taught the following in connection with regular schoolwork. It then gives a long list of important values and principles to be taught. One of those things to be taught is the essentials and benefit of the free enterprise system. Yet free enterprise is not mentioned throughout these standards. How can the teaching of the free enterprise system be integrated throughout the curriculum if it's not even mentioned in the standards? Some of the other things listed by the legislature to be taught through an integrated curriculum are the habits and qualities of character, which will promote and an upright and desirable citizenry, and better prepare the students to recognize and accept responsibility for preserving and defending the blessings of liberty inherited from the prior generations and secured by the Constitution. And yet the Constitution is really only taught in the 5th grade. How can the children accept responsibility for preserving and defending the blessings of liberty secured by the Constitution if they are only taught it for 1 year? These principles need to be taught to the students every year throughout their schooling. They need to be taught the exciting stories about the brave and inspired founders who gave us the Constitution. True stories, not myths. They will be remembered, that they will remember all their lives. Patriotic music, songs that teach and inspire, and any curriculum and activities that will prepare the student to preserve and defend the blessings of liberty secured by the Constitution. Civic and character education in public schools are not intended to be separate programs. The children are to be taught the core principles which reflect the shared values of the citizens of Utah and the founding principles of the United States and the state of Utah. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Gail. Greg Dearden and then Monica Wilbur. Is Greg here? I don't see him. Monica and then Garrett Smith. Monica? I don't see her. Garrett and then Jonas Rodriguez.
Thank you. My name is Garrett Smith, and I'm here today to talk about Utah Code 53G-10204, subsection 3B, and then also 302, subsection 3A and B. The first one states, through an integrated curriculum, students shall be taught in connection with regular schoolwork, respect for and an understanding of the Declaration of Independence and the constitutions of the United States and of the state of Utah. And I just wanted to point out that in this section, it is mandatory, it's not discretionary, and so it shall be included in their regular schoolwork. And it should be, thank you, I wasn't muted in my other meeting I was in. Also, just wanted to point out, as being mandatory, that should be included and shouldn't be just in certain years. That should be included throughout the entire school process. Flipping over to the next page, this is subsection 302.3. It says school curricula and activities shall include a thorough study of historical documents such as, and it includes the Declaration of Independence and the Utah Constitution. Once again, this is mandated, it's not discretionary. And when it uses the word thorough, I couldn't find the definition of thorough in the statute, but just through the dictionary, it says it's complete with regard to every detail, not superficial or partial. And so as we're looking at this and the standards, I think there's been some improvements in the standards that have been set forward, but whether it meets the language of the code, I think it's still lacking, because thorough would be complete, and it would be incorporated into regular school activities throughout the year, and not just through one grade or two grades, but every grade, through high school, kindergarten to high school. No one's too young. My 3-year-old son knows the 7 articles of the Constitution. So if he can do it, I think that any student can. One potential cause of concern is under the 5th grade strand 3. It says to talk about demonstrating how the Constitution has changed and been interpreted over time. I think that either needs to be amended or removed completely. The Constitution has changed. That can be through amendments, say how the Constitution has been amended, because I do think it is valuable to show how it has been amended over time, but change would mean that it hasn't been amended necessarily. That could just be that societal views on that have changed, and then also been interpreted over time. That is also open to moral relativity, society changing over time. And in that same section I was reading earlier, 302 subsection 3I, it says it includes United States Supreme Court decisions, which could be used as the reason or the understanding of how that's been interpreted. And so I appreciate your time, and I think that we could bolster these standards and make it a part of the curriculum every year and more throughout the year, rather than just dipping into it a little bit to make it more thorough. Thank you.
Thank you, Garrett. Appreciate that. We'll go on to Jonas Rodriguez and then to Todd Callister. Go ahead, Jonas.
Hey, my name is Jonas Rodriguez. I'm the Vice President of the Benjamin Franklin Center of Constitutional Studies. And I was assigned to talk about 53G-10-304. The instruction shall include the history of the flag, etiquette, customs pertaining to the display, and the use of the flag. I'd just like to start my comment with a quote from President Reagan. When before he left office, he said that this is exactly his words, "I'm warning of an eradication of the American memory, which could cause the erosion of the American spirit." And then he suggested more civic and rituals pertaining to the question of the American spirit. Anyways, the way that the children are being taught today needs to include the full history, like it says here, the full history of the American flag, because that's where the character of an American can develop. And they need to know what the flag represents. And when we do the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag, I don't know how many schools still do it, but I suggest that needs to be into the schools, back in every school in the state of Utah for sure, because this will bring the knowledge of being a nation under God. And this is very important because God is the author of our liberty. Our inalienable rights were given to us by the Creator, and that's where America stands as a government of the people. And when the Supreme Court once said that children are not ready to face a tobacco billboard because their brains are not yet formed, and to entice them to be able to drink. So the same thing, I can go further with that, with the character of children. They need to be built in a way that they can reason with truth and still with respect. As a matter of fact, by implementing the knowledge of a nation under God through the flag, we'll show all the results of applying this knowledge in our power, of our military power, what we did throughout the world, how many people lost their lives to be able to do that. So the flag is like something that will allow in many places in education to be able to form a good character, constitutional person that will use the government of the people to be able to secure our nation and be able to be effective. One thing more I wanted to share, the reason we have this today, and
your time is up. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Jonas. I appreciate that. We'll go to Todd Callister and then back to Jen Brown.
Well, thank you. I'm just a novice at this. This is my first time, but I'm a concerned citizen and I love the Constitution. And I have some thoughts that are consistent with those that have been expressed by Gail and by Garrett. And my focus is on 53G10-204-2C. It talks about cultivating a continuing understanding and appreciation of the Utah and U.S. constitutions. And I would like to emphasize the need for a continuing education of the Constitution in grades 1 through 12. And to illustrate this need, I had an acquaintance who was owned a small insurance business. And he had a successful retired businessman that he asked to come in and evaluate the business. And his friend came in, observed the business for 3 days, spoke with the employees, and then said to his friend who was the owner, listen, you got one major mistake you made. You know what it is? You tell the people once and you think they get it, and they don't get it. I've learned that you have to tell them 5 times in 5 different ways, and then those that are geniuses get it. He said, I've learned that a genius is someone whom you tell only 5 times and he finally gets the message. Well, if you translate this into the youth, our youth, those who are geniuses, are someone who've heard about the Constitution frequently and in depth, grades 1 through 12, and then they finally got the message that this document's inspired and unique. And as further evidence of this, Dallin Oaks, who was Supreme Court Justice for the state of Utah and a professor of law, said that one of his fellow professors said to him, you know, I've asked a number of students if they thought the Constitution was inspired, and they said yes. And I said, what do you mean by that? And I quote what the professor said, but not one of them could ever tell me what that meant. What a tragedy. Law students who never learned in high school, in grades 1 through 12, what it meant to have a unique and inspired Constitution. And then Dallin Oaks went on and he talked about all the ways the Constitution
Our time is up. Thank you for your
and
comment.
inspired. Thank you.
Thank you, Todd. That's so weird. Mr. Callister, I guess I'll say. Go ahead, Jen Brand. I can't hear you, Jen. You're still on mute.
Okay, can you hear me now?
We've got you.
Okay, I'm so sorry. Okay, so I am president of Utah Citizens for the Constitution, and our organization put out a petition to the community. And the question that we asked was, Utah's K through 6 standards were given a secret by the reputable Fordham Institute. These standards are currently being rewritten. Please sign this petition and join with Utah Citizens for the Constitution to petition the Utah State School Board to achieve A standards for Utah kids. And I just want to officially present the results of the petition. We had 1,025 members of the community sign that over just a not very long amount of time that paid to have the survey opened. And we know that there's a great concern in the community about these standards that are being set forth. And then also, I have a letter that is from the state Senate president as well as the Speaker of the House. And what it says is that in order for the expectations of the law to be met, which includes language that is loyalty and commitment to constitutional government, a thorough study and a continuing understanding and appreciation, there must be yearly instruction in our form of government. This state has a compelling interest to educate the rising generation about our constitutional republic to ensure that it continues. We expect that the final version of the standards will carefully adhere to the laws set forth by the legislature. But I want the board to feel the support of the community. We are here to help you in this noble work to educate our youth about our Constitution and the unique doctrine that it was, and that it is done more for human rights than any other document in the history of the world. And we sincerely ask the Utah State Board of Education that they will work with us to implement yearly instruction. However we need to do that, we hope we find it in the standards. But, our goal is that there's yearly instruction with the students, or they will not be able to have an understanding. They just want one time. It will just go right through their head.
Jen, your time is up.
Thank you so much.
Member Belknap, you are muted.
That's a problem. I try and make it so it doesn't ding in everyone's ear all day. Okay, thank you so much. We'll go to Brianna Hughes and then back to Greg Dearden if he's here. Brianna?
Hi, thanks for having me on. So I am a teacher and I'm an educator and a parent in Alpine School District. And I just want to talk about a couple different things. First of all, I just want to say to all of those that have talked about the Constitution, I currently teach English. And we regularly talk about elements of the Constitution in our English classes, which is great because we have the cross-curricular stuff. And I think that's really, really important. I'm also working on my social studies composite endorsement, and I can tell you that conversations about the Constitution are everywhere in that endorsement. They are all over the place. We talk about it a lot, and our students get it a lot. I do think it's important for them to know that. I just want to talk really briefly about what it's like to be in our junior highs. I love junior high kids. I know that they're quirky, sometimes they're a little nerdy, and sometimes they're just trying to figure out life. They are great kids, they are good kids, they want to do well, and even the ones that are really struggling with a lot of things, academically, if they're struggling at home, you can tell that they have a desire to do well and to learn and to get the things that they need to do, even though they like to push back and test those boundaries. Because, I mean, they're 12 to 15. That's kind of their job, right? But I just wanted to say, I think that if you spend time in our schools, especially in our junior highs, you see kids that span every type of label that we could apply to kids. We have kids that are nerds. We have kids that are jocks. We have kids that are, you know, all these different things. We have kids on IEPs. We have kids in ELL. We have all of these amazing things. And we have kids that are gender nonconforming. We have kids from across the ethnic spectrum. And you know what? I think that that is one of the best things about education, especially public education, is we take whatever you bring to us in terms of students and we help them thrive. Can we do a better job? Absolutely. And that's kind of the job that we are all here for. And I appreciate the work that the board does. I just wanted to tell you that I think that
your time is up.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, Brianna. Is Greg Dearden or Monica Wilbur here now? I don't see either one. I'd like to thank everyone who made public comment for us today, and we'll go ahead and move on.